So my name is Khimani. This is Nusu Nusu Productions, which is our production company. We specialize in all different kinds of productions, really, from lifestyle productions to live productions, studio-based productions, documentaries, TV commercials, and the like. And I'm the director, or MD, so I run the day-to-day business here, which kind of doesn't allow me to be as creative as I'd like to be sometimes. Running a business is very sort of cut and dried, but I do have vast experience in being a creative. I write all the scripts, or majority of all our scripts that come into the company, and I do most of the client meetings and pitching of ideas and briefs and proposals. Well, I kind of came across radio by accident, so I met a lady named Linda Holt at a barbecue. She then was the then owner of Capital before Chris Kirubi bought Capital FM. So she said I had a nice voice. I went in and did a voice test, and the rest was history. I started off doing the sports and then the morning show, and then sort of became my own brand within radio, and then obviously had my own morning show. And then Shanice came to Kenya, and that was really a huge boost in terms of not just for us or myself and Shanice, but also for radio in Kenya. I think it was one of the best morning shows the country's had, and I say that because I had a great co-host, and she really was an amazing person to work with, so hopefully she'll watch this and remember. And then I started doing some work for multi-choice. I think it was Big Brother Africa, so the second, because it was Big Brother South Africa and then Big Brother Africa, so one when the Kenyan housemate was Alex Holy. So I was a Kenyan field presenter, and obviously that was because I was on radio. They asked me to audition, and I got the job to be the Kenyan field presenter. And then from there, I started doing Studio 53, which was the African travel and lifestyle show. I think guys will remember it more for Gaetano than me, but Gaetano was one of the main presenters, you know. He was also in Big Brother, but not the same. Oh, it was the same season as Alex, actually. Yeah, he was in the same season, Gaetano, yeah. So I met my partner, Mark Moss, who was the cameraman for Studio 53, but he was also working for Supersport. And then he started getting work as a freelancer, quite a bit of work from Supersport, and I started getting quite a bit of work, not just as a presenter, but in production from Mnet and DSTV. So we thought, you know what, the best thing to do would be is just open a company. So one very drunken night at Gypsy Bar in Westland, we came across the name Nusu Nusu for no reason at all. And people think it's because he's black and I'm Indian that we call it Nusu Nusu, but that's actually not the case. It's also not because we do a job halfway, we do it full. So yeah, because we have these questions all the time. But basically, that's how Nusu Nusu came to be. And now it's 2017? Yeah, 2009. Yeah. So almost 2007, so almost 10 years now, yeah. You know, let me tell you a story with a lot of irony. I actually wanted to be a journalist on CNN and not be a businessman. So I think Zayn and I, and funny enough, I think her plane was going to Atlanta when mine was coming to Nairobi from London. So I think it was we must have crossed each other. But yeah, I always wanted to be a war correspondent, like Jeff Koinange was back in the day, for Al Jazeera, CNN, or BBC. Then I got sucked into production, and that dream didn't die. It just wasn't no longer my cup of tea. But that was really my ultimate goal, was to be on the front line somewhere with the UN helmet and the flak jacket. I'm not sure how well I would do in that situation, but I really did want to do that in the beginning. That was sort of like, so what I'm saying is I've always wanted to be in the journalism field or in the broadcasting field. It just never, where I am now is not where I thought I'd be and this is going back maybe 15 years, so yeah. It was actually the first Gulf War, not the one that Jeff reported on in Baghdad. This was George Bush Sr. So this is the first time when they didn't get Saddam. I think it was the invasion of Kuwait, when Iraq invaded Kuwait, and I was living in Florida then, and I was watching CNN, and I just thought to myself, wow, that's like the coolest job in the world. Like, everyone looks at this journalist, and how much respect do you have for this individual? I mean, he's risking his life to bring you the news, you know what I mean? So I had a dream to do that job. I came very close with the BBC about 3 or 4 years ago, actually. Whatever reasons, I mean, I'm glad it didn't happen in the end, because I don't think you can do that and manage a East and Central Africa sort of base production house is what we are. But it was very close with the BBC at one point to become a East African correspondent. But you know what that means. That means that if you speak well and you present well, then they'll send you anywhere in the world to report the news. So maybe in the future, maybe when I decide to settle down, I'll go to a war. You know, sorry, let me get my tea. I don't really think we actually had any idea. We just wanted to make TV, and we both sort of loved it, and we both sort of, myself and Mark, my partner, we both sort of had different strengths and weaknesses, so it really complement each other. Like, I'm not a technical person at all, but he's very technical. He doesn't really like to deal with clients. I really enjoy selling stuff to clients. So, but I don't think we really imagined we'd be sitting in a room where they're painting the studio wall for Coke, or doing a live radio show or recorded radio show from a studio, or that we would have an equipment room filled with gear, or a van and a broadcast van. I don't think that was ever. Things happen every year, and some years you make a lot of money, and some years you don't make a lot of money. And so when you make a lot of money, you decide what you're going to invest in. I mean, we've invested in many things over the last few years, not even really broadcast related. There's many other areas we've invested in that are Nusu Nusu branded, but not necessarily anything to do with television or television broadcasting. So. We never. I don't have any loans. I don't have any for equipment. I'm saying I don't have any loans. I don't owe anyone money. We did a job, got paid well, bought something. Did another job, got paid even better, bought more things, and eventually built up to all the equipment, to having the broadcast van. But this is all. There's no money owed to anyone, which I think is a really. You know, when you can sleep at night. Okay, we do have money owed to suppliers, as I was explaining a little bit earlier to you guys off camera. No one is paying any money in this current political climate, as we say. No, not Nakumat bad, but bad. And I have an interesting story about Nakumat as well, because I have another product that I sell at Nakumat, what I'll tell you about. So we were lucky enough to make money on production. You know, production is expensive, but it also costs a lot to the client. And when I say cost a lot, I'm not talking about billions of shillings. I'm talking about there is a basic minimum cost that you cannot go below, otherwise you don't cover your costs. So there's always a small profit margin on everything. And you know, maybe this time we buy some lapel mics, which are like 20,000 shillings each. Next big job we get, we buy 6 new cameras. It all depends on the job you do. So we in this industry, to be perfectly honest with you guys, in this industry, you have to be up to date. Equipment gets old so fast. You buy something brand new, wake up tomorrow, and this version 2 is in the market. So we've paced ourselves well. We bought things that we knew they may not be the sexiest looking equipment, but they'll still give the same product as what's coming out now. We got into 4K format, 4K equipment before 4K was the industry standard. So we had a lot of stuff here that wasn't being used for a year or two, but we had it here because I mean we know that we're 5 years behind the West, or 3 years behind the West. So we went ahead and bought stuff from the West and just left it in boxes here for like a year, and now. When 4K came into the market, we're the only people with 4K equipment. Yeah, so it's about having foresight as well. I mean, we will catch up. We're already on digital, you know what I mean? So the next level will be satellite radios in cars, which they have in America now, you know what I mean? So. So as I mentioned, that's really my partner, Mark, who is online all day looking at what's new, and then I have to find the money to buy this stuff. Which is how every good business should run. So he knows exactly what's needed. You know, I mean, once he picks something, I'll ask him, you know, why this particular equipment, or why this particular type of camera or mixer or whatever it is. But he's the one who, I don't really involve myself in what's current or new. You know what I mean, in terms of equipment. Look, we have a great reputation because of DSTV, and really the foundation for the company was built on the backs of DSTV and Supersport, which is great. So a lot of our marketing came from the fact that, these are the guys that work with them that in Supersports, they must be quality, they must be good. But as you may have noticed in the last couple of years, or the last sort of 12 months to 18 months, business in the country has slowed down. I think it's normal before an election. So we've been out looking for work for the last sort of 6 to 8 months. And what I've realized is it's when people meet us, they're like, oh, Nusu Nusu, we've heard of you guys. So it's actually just reminding people that you're in the industry, you know, dropping an email to an old client, like an agency, hey guys, haven't heard from you in a while, can I buy you a coffee? Oh yeah, in fact, they'll call you back and be like, shit, you know what, we have a documentary, and now that maybe they were going to call someone else, because, you know, you're just constantly reminding people who you are. We're also kind of the granddaddies of the industry as well. I mean, Mark and myself. I mean, there are a couple of older guys, but really in terms of the state who stayed on that level, we're sort of, you know, hitting the high end of the industry. Now it's a matter of people go young and I don't want, dare I say, cheap, inexpensive maybe, or you pay for the quality and you get what you deserve. We've had a lot of clients who have left because of budgets and our costings, but generally always do a 360 within 6, 8, 12 months and realize that cheap is expensive, because if they shoot it and it's not good, they have to reshoot it anyway. So yeah. Yeah, and I mean, look, there's room to. We have a lot of I call them family rates for a lot of clients. I won't mention the agencies or direct clients that we work with, but we do work with a lot of big clients. And if they tell me, look, this is the production, this is our budget, what can you do? To the point where I'll say, okay, fine. One of the most expensive crew members is the producer, the guy on the ground. So if it's a client that I value, then I will say, I won't charge you for the producer, and I'll produce it myself. Which A, they prefer, anyway, and B, that's if it's a 6-day shoot and you're talking a 50K a day for a producer, you've knocked 300,000 shillings off the budget. But those are clients that we've worked with for a long time. You know what I mean? We'll always go the extra mile. Yeah. Absolutely. It's like radio. You're only as good as your last show. So if you had a really bad show on a Friday and it was your last day on radio, people are going to remember that show. So I don't know if you guys were familiar with my show on X. No one knew I was leaving. I had a really good show on a Friday. And I'd already done all my paperwork with Radio Africa. I was not going back. But I never said I said I was going on leave, actually, to my listeners. But I had a very, very good show. This is almost 4 years ago now. If you go to Twitter, even today, you'll find people asking me to come back to radio, because I left them with a really good memory. Yeah. It's not, oh, I'm leaving, so if the ship is sinking, so let it sink. Right. You go. So every production we do, we take great pride in. It can be a 100,000 shilling production or a 10 million shilling production. No client should suffer. If I don't want to do it because your price is too low, then I should tell you I don't want to do it. Okay. Not I'll do it, but I'm not going to give you, what I give the other big client. I'm not going to give this small windy company industrial area what I'm giving Coca-Cola or Safaricom, because they're paying less. No, then I should just say no. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and let someone else do the job for them. Yeah, I mean, I've because I'm also in my own little way a bit of a brand, getting the connections to people, picking up a phone and calling Safaricom and asking to speak to Bob Collymore, for example. If Bob Collymore says, who is it? And they say it's Farid Khimani. If he's not too busy, he'll probably pick up the call, or Chris Diaz of Kenya Airways, or whoever at Coca-Cola. So that really helped. And when we started Nusu Nusu, I was still on radio, so the brand was even more, out there. So I think we were lucky to ride on that as well, and I still use it quite a lot. When I see something like a tender in the paper for a company or an agency or a government department, if I know someone in there and I can still use the Farid Khimani brand, I will call and just say, I'm pitching for this. I have no issue. But then also, once you say it's Farid Khimani and they give you the work, you also have to prove yourself. Yeah. So after that first call or introduction, now the work has to also speak for itself. It's not just that I'm Farid Khimani and I give you a shit product. So, you know what I mean? That doesn't really help. So it's about, if you're going to do it, make sure that you can back it up with something that's quality. I still haven't realized that. Sometimes I'll tell my wife or my partner, I really wish I was back on radio, because at least I got a paycheck every month. You know what I mean? So, unfortunately, when you're running your own business and all the entrepreneurs, and I'm sure if you have this conversation with all of them, they'll tell you the same thing. The first paycheck the first person not to get a paycheck at the beginning of the month is always the directors, right? I mean, to pay the staff is vital. So sometimes, I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. I do love running a business. I do love being in the industry that I wanted to be in, and having a production house and making great quality products for TV and online and all that. However, having said that, like I said, when I was on radio and I was an employee, no matter what, you got a paycheck every month. And especially when you're a presenter, because they really take care of you. You know what I mean? I mean, the tea lady didn't get her paycheck, but the presenter, you know what I'm saying? So Last thing you want is that guy coming in not giving 100%. No, I joke, but truly so that's one of the hardest things is every month. You're sort of like by the 20th, you're sort of wondering, am I actually going to get paid this month? And I don't mind. There's other things that I do. I MC a lot of events. I do some work for Supersport as a freelancer. So I don't really mind if I miss a salary twice a year. But to me, that would be the only downside, is that you don't. And business is cyclical, right? No matter where you are in the world, whether you're here in New York, London, or San Francisco, business is up and down. As you know now, the only business for us is in this industry is election work, campaign work, right? That's what's happening right now, because a lot of the big clients are not really wanting to get rid of their cash until after the elections and see how the economy is, which is totally understandable. So you've got to find a way in now to election work. So yeah, that's the plan. Absolutely not. Because I don't know it. I think it's a gut feeling sometimes, and sometimes that gut feeling is right, sometimes it's wrong. So I've been blessed to make some right decisions, majority of which are right, but I have made an awful lot of wrong decisions that have not only affected me, but my business and the employees as well. But all you can do is shake it off and try and remedy it. But I mean, I still learn every day, and I'm apprehensive to take a business course, although I know I should. I've had a lot of my Asian friends who are businessmen and entrepreneurs telling me, dude, like if you do this, you'll be sorted. But I like to learn, and I do a lot of reading online and see how other business, and looking at entrepreneurs like Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, and how they ran their businesses, which was, I don't want to say relaxed, but there is a way you run it without being too compartmented and organized. You know, especially in our industry, or for example Apple or Virgin or whatever the case may be, it is have a dream and have a vision, but how you get there doesn't always have to follow. There's no textbook way to get there. You don't start at A, then go to B, and then C, and then D. It doesn't work the way. We went from A to X very quickly in 3 years and made a lot of money, and then all the way back to B last year. You know? And now we're at about D, E, F. You know what I mean? So it is not. There's no formula. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty messed up social life anyway, because I used to get up at 4 a.m. for 12 years, right, doing morning radio. So I didn't. This is probably easier for me now I can meet people for lunch. I can take a meeting or not take a meeting. You know, I have 4 or 5 meetings today. I'm on like 4 or 5 meetings. Tomorrow another 3 or 4. But some of them I do in the afternoon. One of our other investments is a restaurant, which is at Valley Arcade. It's called Monico's. Which Nusu Nusu is a third partner there. So I do a lot of my meetings there towards the end of the day because I live in the area. So I think I'm more social now, because you can tell a client or you can tell a supplier, listen, let's meet at Monico's, I'll buy you a beer, let's have a chat, you know, and it's sort of, so I think I had a unique employed life. My employed life was, you had to be in bed by 10. You could not possibly go to bed at 2 a.m. and then expect to be up at 4 and be fresh, because every day you were in the spotlight, you know what I mean? It wasn't like you were an accountant where you could sit in the corner of an office, even with a hangover. No one knows. You just type away Excel documents and computations, but mine was public and vocal, and people could tell if you'd been out or you weren't well rested. Very well. I have so many. It's something I think about all day. But it's okay. This has happened. How do you? So, when I worked for Patrick Kwako at Radio Africa, he told me a really valuable. So he's a very good example of an entrepreneur and someone who's very switched on in terms of the broadcast industry, and a really mentor in a way. He used to always say, "Don't come to me with problems. Come to me with solutions." So identify it as a problem, rather than going to your boss and saying, "The office is on fire," right? Which is obvious to everyone in here because it's on fire. Come up and say the office is on fire, but we've called the fire department and we managed to put it out with the fire extinguisher. So the solution should come first. So that's something I deal with a lot of solutions on a day-to-day basis. If I hadn't, I think this business would be closed by now. Because I mean, you know, we work in an industry, unfortunately, where you're not selling cement. So for example, if you're buying cement from me, you know what you're getting, so you'll pay up front, or you pay 75% up front because it's cement. Once I deliver the cement, you give me the balance for 25%, right? In our industry, in broadcasting, it's after the final approval from the client. And production is expensive. So you end up using a lot of your own company resources to complete a production, which you'll only be paid for at the end. Yeah. So cash flows in this industry are always tight. So if we get a job, say tomorrow for a big client, a documentary that's going to cost 10 million to shoot. So I've got to go and find 10 million to shoot. And only when the client says, signs it off at the last preview here in our edit suite and says, this is exactly what we want, can you bill? Yeah. Billing in this country, or in any country really, is 30 days, right? But sometimes it drags to 60 or 90 days. So you can say that 10 million shillings that you took out in May will only be realized in December maybe of the same year. So how do you come up with solutions like that? Very simple. You bring in a new client. That client has a 3 million shilling job. You tell them, because you're a new client, you must pay 50% up front. So now you've covered your production costs for that job that you're doing. So it's solutions. Yeah. I don't know why I had to tell you that whole story, but it's solutions. Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think everything is cyclical, like I said earlier about business. So I think the economy and the job market is a bit of a struggle right now. I think under the previous government, it was really coming up. Unemployment was decreasing, and the economy and the inflation rates were also decreasing. So I'm not so concerned that the job market won't improve, but I will tell you this: my Askari is a college graduate at my house. My God, in my compound of 8 houses, he's a graduate of college, and I can have a conversation with him like I'm having with you guys. Like a very educated, informative conversation, which I do very often. So that's not to say education isn't important, because I'm a college graduate. I actually have a postgraduate as well. So, but I will honestly, if any parent is watching this, they're going to be very upset when I say this. I don't think what I learned in college or in my postgraduate course has prepared me for what I'm doing right now. I think what I got was on the streets, real world situations, learning who I am as an individual, what I can and can't do. I think college was great to sound intelligent, to have intelligent conversations. I can be employed anywhere. But I can be employed anywhere. Yeah. I mean, if for instance, the job that I almost got with the BBC was based on my certification from university. So that would not even be a question, that job, if I did not have those certifications. But I don't think running this business in TV production, or knowing what I know about TV and radio, I don't think I would have got. I got in school. So look, I'm a traveler by trade. I'm a nomad. I love traveling. I love moving around. The first book, well, one of the greatest books I've ever read is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I don't know if you're familiar with that book, but if you ever get a chance to read it, it's really incredible. And right now I'm reading a book called The Travelers, which is a super book. And if you can get it on Amazon, get it. It's a really cool book about espionage. He's a travel writer, the guy, and then he gets caught up in this underground world of espionage and things like that. So yeah, but I like a lot of travel journalism. Right. Yeah. www.nusunusu.com for your TV commercial. No, I'm just joking, but you know who we are. You can find us online. But no, I do a couple of things. As cool. Monaco's Restaurant at Valley Arcade, Maasai Treads, eco-friendly sandals, and Nusu Nusu Productions.
Okay, so Ferry, we would like to say thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And